Greetings, loyal subjects of the Imperium of Man. I am Librarian Elias of the Adeptus Astartes. I am creating a series of recordings with the intent of educating the general populace of the dangers of the galaxy. All of this information comes from the Lexicanum, provided to me by the Adeptus Mechanicus. I will be reading verbatim from their archives. This recording will cover one of the few allies the Imperium has, a chapter known as the Exorcists. The Exorcists are a Space Marine chapter that specialize in combating demons and the forces of chaos. The Exorcists are a Space Marine chapter with a very dubious founding history, a highly secretive and silent chapter. Little is known about their early days. On the subject of their creation, a single communication remains that was sent from a Genitor Major of the Xenobiologist Corps named Larum Cleland. The Exorcists were formed as a successor chapter of the Imperial Fists by the end of Millennium 35 or Millennium 36. In the 13th Dark Founding, created from Resilient gene stock, in the early years of the chapter, they proved adaptable to many strategic challenges. However, the fate of the chapter dramatically changed after the events on Totem 4. During the campaign to liberate the planet from demons under control of the Lord of Change, Curiath the Shrouded, the Exorcists were able to prove resilient against hordes of Zygian demons, taking heavy physical damage, but able to overcome the mental assaults of the warp at the height of the battle. Chapter Master Enoch Trismegistus was possessed by Curiath. However, Trismegistus was able to use the possession to awaken his own psychic abilities, reaching out to the mind of Chief Librarian Gotios and gaining his aid in driving the demon out. Curiath was subsequently banished back into the warp. The incident became known to the Plutonians, a radical set of the Ordo Malleus. The Plutonians relieved the Chapter Master of Command and established a purpose-built facility on its home world of Banish. Here, Trismegistus was interrogated relentlessly, but eventually found to be pure. The Plutonians eventually revealed their theories of using the power of possession against the warp, and Trismegistus found himself agreeing with the radicals. Thereafter, the Plutonians were allowed to remain on Banish permanently and aid the chapter in its demonic possession trials of aspirants, hoping to recreate Trismegistus' experience to create an army of demonically resilient warriors. One member of the Ordo Malleus' delegation on Banish, Cardinal Rodrigo Nesson, went mad after witnessing the high rate of failure in the early initiation process, turning to chaos worship and fleeing with most of the Space Marines that could not be successfully exorcised, forming the Swords of Epiphany Chaos Warband. Later upon the formation of the Great Rift, the Torchbearers fleet, bound for Banish, was met with intense demonic assault. The rogue traders with the fleet came to regard the mission as cursed, and all of its grey shields fell in action. Even the custodians of the fleet muttered that such attention from the ruinous powers was ominous indeed. However, the fleet was eventually able to reach Banish and present the chapter with the technology to create Primaris Space Marines. Though no living specimens remained, this suited the chapter fine, as they were able to use their own initiates to raise Primaris warriors under their taboo methods. Thus far, Primaris Marines from the chapter have not shown signs of incompatibility with the rites of demonic possession. Nonetheless, the chapter's initiation rites left their mark on the Primaris subjects also. On battlefields where they fought alongside their chapters, whose battle brothers had endured no forced exposure to demons, subtle differences between Primaris elements were apparent. Those of the Exorcists seemed more stalwart in the face of warp entities, but they were also more prone to unexplained decisions and mood swings. The most notable trait of the Marines of the chapter is the process they undergo, known as the demonic possession therapy. Each Marine, under very tight security, is subjected to possession by a minor denizen of the warp in an area of their fortress monastery known as the Hall of Tempering. The creature is allowed to remain within the host's body for 12 hours until they are cast out by a demon hunter. Some of the Marines are so damaged, physically and psychologically, that they have to be terminated. Most, however, survive, and only need minor reconstructive surgery. After a minor period of recuperation, the subjects are taught the ways of combating demons, trained in the use of the 666 verses of the Book of Exorcisms, and equipped with the weapons of an exorcist. To test the new creations, the Marines were put into combat on a demon world on the northern edge of the Eye of Terror. A squad of Grey Knights were held in reserve, just in case these new exorcists turned on their masters. However, the Exorcist Space Marines achieved a kill ratio of 97-1, most impressive, especially against demons. Test results show that their adrenaline production tripled, and the levels of serotonin dropped drastically. This made the Marines much more aggressive, and gave them increased combat effectiveness. Only 1% of the Marines fell to demonic infestation again, but the Imperial scientists believe that they could eradicate all the likelihood of this happening. This is based on the fact that their souls are incorruptible and pure. They are effectively invisible to most warp demons, as their souls do not register for the leak of mortal corruption. Only extremely powerful demons are able to spot them. However, those that fail the trials are known to suffer horrific fates that are not limited to permanent possession, transformation into chaos spawns, states of deathless torture, and broken minds. These individuals, dubbed Broken Ones, are sometimes used as prison vessels to hold captured demonic entities. As stated before, the Exorcist gene seed is supposedly made from particularly resilient Imperial Fist stock. However, it is considered an anomaly, as no other Sons of Dawn display the Exorcist's resilience to the demonic. In another anomaly, the Exorcists display no outward similarities to Dawn or to other Imperial Fist successors. The Exorcists bear no fraternal ties to other Imperial Fist successor chapters, and their battle cries make no mention of the primogenitor, Rogal Dawn. Only upon initiation to the First Company are Exorcists even told of the descendants from Dawn. This truth is held as a great secret by the chapter. Despite the Exorcists being a Codex chapter, they deviate in a number of several key areas. The chapter numbers 12 companies instead of the standard 10. They maintain 2 additional scout companies to have a high influx of neophytes. Without such, the Exorcists will cease to exist due to their highly unconventional training methods. Another prominent feature of the Exorcists are the Orisons, specialist cultists who dedicate themselves to particular fields of expertise or knowledge. The most renowned of the Orisons are the Enochian Guard, roughly equivalent to a chapter's veteran First Company. The failed aspirants of the Exorcists are dubbed Broken Ones and are used in the chapter's demonic possession trials. These are aided by the Plutonian sect of the Ordo Malleus. The Exorcists also use a variety of esoteric titles, such as Brother Initiates, which signify membership to the secretive Orison cults. These cults are an important part of the chapter's identity, and they only open their doors to any Exorcists who would consult the records or learn more of their traditions. These cults operate their own subcults and shrines, and its members reflect in the different ways upon their duties as Space Marines, while working to expand the bespoken libraries each Orison maintains. Certain Orison cults do maintain historic association with certain battlefield roles, with many First Company veterans belonging to the Enochian Guard, while the Obelisk Thelamus attracts many Tech Marines and Devastators. The Broken Tower cult is almost exclusively formed from librarians. Membership to one cult does not preclude membership to another, and highly regarded heroes of the chapter may have had multiple of Orison honors in their name. Despite their similarities to the Grey Knights, the combat doctrine of the Exorcists differs greatly. Unlike the Grey Knights, the Exorcists possess no special resources other than heart and resolve to fight the demonic, and are more strategically flexible due to their adherence to the Codex Astartes. They are known for their effective reconnaissance and large use of scouts, deploying them behind enemy lines to collect intelligence. Indeed, Many of these scouts undertake combat duties that would normally be reserved to fully fledged battle brothers. A favorite tactic is to work neophyte forces into positions where they appear vulnerable and then reveal them, drawing out the enemy by giving them a false sense of tactical advantage before crushing their advances with the full weight of an Exorcist main force. Since the introduction of Primaris Marines, they have made great use of vanguard formations. Like previously discussed chapters, the Exorcists have their own set of notable campaigns. In 300 to 307 Millennium 40, the Exorcists took part in the Ashen War, a 7-year war waged by the Imperium against Chaos and Orc forces. A third of the chapter was lost in the conflict. 143 to 145 Millennium 41, the 12th Black Crusade. The Exorcists were stationed along the Gothic sector during the Gothic War. 901 to 912 M41, the Exorcists took part in the Badab War. In 972 Millennium 41, the Second Company of the Exorcists helped Inquisitor Lord Torquemada Cortiaz during the cleansings of Operidia, a planet-wide exorcism of the planet, casting out 1 million demon hosts and carrying out the banishment of the demon prince, Carpathi the Occludo. The victory was achieved with no small extent due to the Exorcist librarians enacting the rites of detestation, which are unknown outside of the chapter. In 998 Millennium 41, the Exorcists took part in the Third War of Armageddon, where they committed 12 companies to the defense of the world. In 999 Millennium 41, the Exorcists took part in the 13th Black Crusade, where they committed 10 companies against Abaddon. Finally, in M42, they took part in the Indomitus Crusade, where they took part in the Drenix cleansing. Like other chapters, the Exorcists have a set of notable elements unique to themselves. Known relics of the Exorcists include Cessation, a bolt pistol, the Exile Plate, a set of power armor, Expulsiaris, a power sword, Voidbane, another power sword, and the Liber Exorcismus, a tome. Known vessels of the Exorcists include the Punisher and the Redeemer, both battle barges, the Eternal Defiance, Hunter, and Wrath of Threnna, all strike cruisers, and the Purgatomb, a prison craft. One of the named land vehicles is the Coronazan, the Cerberus heavy tank destroyer that took part in the Ashen War. Known members include Enoch Trismegistus, the first chapter master. He is followed by Emir Phassophon, the current chapter master, Gotios, the historic chief librarian, Silas Abrek, captain of the Third Company, Leets, Veon Armadell, both captains, Malachite, Castor Meccan, Pale Vordhain, all librarians, and Sibra, a venerable dreadnought that unfortunately lost his life in service of the Emperor. This concludes the information regarding the Exorcists. More in-depth information regarding them will be recorded at a later date. This is Librarian Elias, signing